everybody, and welcome back. Okay, third video I wanted to go into today and talk about those 4 foundations that I've written about. I have in a downloadable PDF available on my website. If you want to go there, feel free to subscribe and you will get the downloadable PDF delivered right to you. My website being nomorepockets.org. So the 4 foundations I wanted to go over with you briefly: overcoming shame, being able to face and move through fear, cultivating unconditional self-acceptance, and building self-worth. First one today I wanted to break down is the shame part. And you know, you hear it so much about shame today. Brene Brown, my hero, was the first one that I really came across who defined and spoke about shame in a way that it reduced me to tears. I had experienced it my whole life and had never really understood that it was the shame that I was dealing with and trying to overcome, and how it was such a catalyst for everything else in my life once I decided to make my personal declaration of no more pockets. What I found for myself is that there are, we'll go through this again, that the definition for me personally of shame, taken from Brene Brown, I will say, and adding my own personal slant onto it, because how she defined it resonated so deeply with me. It's our fear of disconnection, our fear that we won't be loved or accepted for who we are, and that we are not worthy of love and belonging. In addition to that, I found that what shame did is that fear of disconnection caused me and so many others to hide that part of ourselves that we are afraid, if others see, will bring us a sense of disconnection and make us feel unworthy of love and belonging. So my goal to myself in wanting to do this was, what was my goal? What was I trying to achieve in overcoming shame? And that was, I wanted to heal this part of me that I knew I could not change. This was, I had been to doctors, and my shame over, in my case, it was body shame, was first presented to me in the form of the Serenity Prayer. I had gone to school. This is one of the stories. And I was in high school. I believe it was my sophomore year or junior year. And I had seen several students come back from summer break. And there was a big, huge physical change. And what first caught my attention was how these students were carrying themselves differently. And what I secondly noticed was that this change in how they presented and carried themselves was from the physical changes they were able to make. Braces had come off, contacts now replaced glasses, several had lost weight. One student who had had a spine on a brace on for a spinal injury, that was removed, and she was carrying herself different. I had other students who had done nothing more but maybe dye their hair, or what I had looked at as what to be superficial changes. But what caught my attention most was the confidence and the ease at which they now carried themselves. And I remember going home from school that day, and I got home and I looked down at my hands and I sobbed. I just felt like I want to feel how they feel, but I can't change anything about myself. I can't change my hand to get me the end result of what I saw in them, which was the ease again and the confidence in which they carried themselves. So I thought, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to get there if you don't first start with realizing, accepting? And at that point, for some reason, the Serenity prayer came into my mind. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change those things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I had already made that personal declaration of no more pockets, no more hiding. But there was still an aspect of me that was still hiding it. It was still carrying around that shame of what I had experienced. And I knew at that point, one of the foundations that I talk about is forgiveness in achieving the goal of overcoming our shame. And I thought, okay, so this isn't just the forgiveness for all the circumstances that I had gone through that had made me feel shame and made me know that there is a true disconnection that happened. I've had that. I have felt it. I have seen it. One story here, and I'll tie this up. For those of you who struggle with shame and you want to play the blame game, I get it. It's real. The circumstances we have gone through, whether this be over physical differences, whether it be over the quirks we have in our personality, how we see life, our concept of how we want to present ourselves to the world, anything that is different about us that has caused us, right, to know on a real sense there's a disconnection there. It does happen. It was in high school, and we had social dance in PE. And I'd heard about it since junior high. I'd known it was coming. I've been dreading it for like 2 years, where for 1 week in PE, you have social dance and you have to have a dance partner. And that first day in class, the PE teacher had us line up, girls on one side, boys on the other. And when you got in the line and you turned, the person across from you was going to be your partner. And the boys started catching on. We all started catching on. This is what was happening as we were lining up. And as the boys who were going to be ending up being directly across from me started to realize what was going to happen, they started getting out of line, and they'd shove the guy in line next to them, like, you get there, you get there. And no one wanted to be across from me. So when the PE teacher said, okay, everybody look at your right across from you, that person is going to be your partner for the week, I had an empty space. Yeah. So when I would have these in an early age in those junior high and high school years, and I would think, who's going to love me? Can you blame me? No one even wanted to dance with me and hold my hand for that week. The PE teacher at the end had to come up and say, I'll be your partner, Laura, don't worry about it, which just mortified me that my PE teacher had to be my partner. So I want us to all, first, who struggle with this, I want you to know you're not to blame for your feelings of shame, okay? And at some point, the pain of hiding the truth of who you are becomes greater than the pain of being different. It does. It has for myself, for everybody I've talked to who I was able to meet after the speaking opportunities I've had. We have all understood there's that pain that first causes you that sense of disconnection, to hide the truth of who you are. And then there's the pain and the shame that comes when you're realizing the true disconnection is because you're not brave and courageous enough to live your truth. And from that is where the serenity prayer came in. And I looked down at my hand that day, and I realized the only thing that's going to change, Laura, to become who you want to be, is you've got to stop hiding your hand like you've already made the declaration to do, but you have to understand that you're going to have to come to accept this as a part of who you are. And this is not to shame you. This is to make you stronger. It is to set you apart from everybody else out there. And I know it sounds, I don't want this to come off as trite or very like, what's the word? Like a very Pollyanna, or you hear this all the time, but there's a truth to this, and it is one of the 3 components of having compassion for yourself and accepting vulnerability. And I knew that accepting vulnerability was where this was I was going to have to get comfortable with being vulnerable. I was going to have to forgive those who had brought about or made me experience the shame. And I was going to have to have compassion for myself as I maneuvered this way into this new aspect of living. And I have to say, one of the things that kept me going on this journey was the change in how my fellow students carried themselves when they found that sense of confidence. And I'm telling you, it's okay. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Okay? I don't, people say, oh, well, it's very easy to change. Yeah, it is easy to change yourself. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But if you're able to do it, do it. Because what we're looking for here is anything that makes us feel good and confident while we're on this journey of vulnerability and finding and maneuvering our way into finding a sense of self-acceptance. So the shame journey is a fascinating one for me because it's so many twists and turns in a way. I can't wait to go on this journey more with you. But for today, I hope this little, snippet of stories might help you. It might resonate with you. If so, take it for what it's worth. Use from it what you will. And thank you for joining me today. Again, for anybody who might be new here, if my content inspires you to do so, please like, subscribe, share, click the bell. You know what to do. And in the meantime, just choose real, everybody. Reveal, embrace, live your truth, and love yourself. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.